Hello again. It is Bronze and Modern Gods. I am John.
And I am Richard.
Welcome, everybody. The usual stuff this week. We've got viewer mail, underrated books of the week. We've got some show and tell, hot book of the week, always. But Richard, first, I think we should remind everybody to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. If you like us on YouTube, please show your like by hitting like. Right? Subscribe, do all that stuff. And you and our buddy Forrest, aka DD Comics Fan on Instagram, are going to be at a local show next week, correct?
That's right. Next Saturday, we're going to be at the Lorain County Comic Book Show. It's going to be me and Forrest. We're going to have a table. We're going to have boxes of dollar bin bargain comics. It's really just to be out in the community and kind of share. So it's October 28th. That's Saturday from 10 to 5 o'clock. If you bring a food donation, you can get it at 9:30.
Hey, bring a can of tender vittles.
Hopefully something a little more human edible, if you don't mind.
I'm on income.
It's down. The show is downtown Amherst, Ohio. You can follow the signs. We'd love to see it. Just stop by, say hi, and bring some food for the people who need it.
If you are in Northeast Ohio, check it out. Just follow the tumbleweed all the way to downtown Amherst, Ohio. I kid. It's a beautiful little town, and lots of dealers there. Right?
Yeah. There's a number of dealers there. It's just a smaller show, but the people who are there for comics. You know, there's nobody there selling non-comic related things. So if you're into comics, or if you're into just kind of like chewing the fat, there are people who will be there to do that as well. So really nice, small town, small community kind of feel to it.
And you are setting up a booth.
For the very first time ever, I am setting up a booth with Forrest. He's going to have some long boxes. I'm going to have some short boxes because I refuse to pick up long boxes.
They are unwieldy.
They are. So we're going to have some boxes of just, like I said, just bargain books, things that you may find value in. And
all right. Well, speaking of bargain books, it's time to move on to our hot book of the week. Richard, I say bargain book because I got to today's hot book of the week as a bargain a couple years ago. It is Marvel graphic novel number 11, aka Void Indigo. This was infamous. This was by my man Steve Gerber, along with Val Merrick, the co-creators of Howard the Duck. This was the infamous launch of what was supposed to be an ongoing series for Epic Comics that ended up getting canceled after only a whopping 2 issues, thanks to retailer outrage over what they considered overly violent and sexual content. Now, you read this today, Richard. It is PG-13 all the way.
Right.
It really is. What's interesting is I love this book. I love the aborted 2 issues that followed it. It was, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Steve Gerber series, but it's up there. It's, I love Steve Gerber. But the reason why this is spiking, why I want to share this with everybody, people are buying it to read it. It's not option for any reason. It's not, this big thing that, is speculated upon. People are buying it to read it because thanks to the quite excellent mini documentary that was created by the quite excellent YouTuber known as Strange Brain Parts, who we've mentioned here before, this is going up. It's been selling all week long. High grade copies on eBay are selling for up to $25. If you haven't read this, I highly recommend it, especially if you love Steve Gerber strangeness. I also want to highly recommend Strange Brain Parts. If you're not subscribed to that channel, go over there right now. I'll throw a link in the description. Richard, do you ever hear of this? This was pre-Watchmen. This was pre-Vertigo.
Yeah. You actually told me about it a long time ago.
It's crazy. It is about 4 sorcerers who try to take over the universe. And to do so, they are, I'll let you read it. It started off as a Hawkman relaunch.
It's interesting. Marvel has used the graphic novel title to launch a number of different characters, including New Mutants. New Mutants for its appearance was in it. Do you have any background on the thought process for why Marvel released things under the graphic novel format first?
heavy metal was popular, not the genre, but the magazine at this time. And this was like the European album, is what they used to call this. Before it was graphic novels, and so it kind of made it more adult. It kind of made it had a little less of that comic book stigma attached to it. So this was like the deluxe package that would be sold at Walden Books. Walden Books carried this. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's really great. It's basically an adult comic concept that unfortunately got aborted before it could really offend people.
I love graphic novels because they give the writer more leeway to write more than 32 pages. You can have a longer, more detailed story. And like you say, it does seem to appeal to a more adult audience.
Yeah.
DC's Black Label is an example of that. So yeah, I hope that Marvel continues to put out things first, and as opposed to graphics novels being the dumping ground of reprints, that it puts out more first run stories and graphic novels.
Yeah, and if people haven't copped to it yet, maybe this next weekend when you're at that show, you can go through some bins and grab some Void Indigos. And
Yeah, absolutely.
share them with the world. Okay, time to move on to our next topic. As always, show and tell. Richard, I dug into the collection this week since I've been organizing. I've been on an organization tear, and I thought I'd show off some stuff that has been buried for a while. And I'm looking at this one right now, and it absolutely has not been pressed. I might have to crack this one open. It is Captain America Comics number 78.
Oh, wow.
There we go. It is from 1954. Yeah, the 1954 revival. It is a 3.5 creamed off-white pages. I see where I can press stuff out over here. I don't know if it would get a 4. I don't know if it's worth it.
Is it worth a pop staple, really?
Yeah, exactly. Do I want to go through all that again? And I just love it. It's got like a little, date scribble there when it arrived at the newsagent. And that is the first appearance of Electro, was his name. He was a Russian spy that could control electricity, and his name's Electro. Nothing like recycling crap, Stan.
Yeah.
Beautiful John Romita cover. That's early John Romita. See his signature right in his crotch?
That is great.
Yeah.
I love the colors on that cover.
I used to own a 7.0 of this book.
Oh.
Tear. What is your first show and tell book?
Well, my first book also is a personal collection. Now, this book doesn't seem very special. It's Secret Wars number 8. It's the first appearance of the black costume. One of the two first appearances of the black costume, let's say. You notice it's got a date stamp on it too, right there by Spidey's head. It is a newsstand copy. I know it because I bought this book back in 1984 off of the newsstand. This was a book that was from my personal collection. I'm seeing the light there. I could probably press it out.
You see that at the top. I was just going to point it out.
Yeah, I had this book slab before I knew about pressing. So I heard about CGC and getting books slabbed, and I saw it. So I sent in a number of my own personal books, and this was one of them. But you talk about a grade being good enough. I've never felt the need to get a 9.8 of this book because I've got this. This means more to me than a somebody else's 9.8. So
remember where you bought it?
I don't.
Dairy Mart?
It might have well been
Lawson's.
I remember the Lawson's. I don't remember buying many comics there. I bought at Lawson's. What I bought a lot of, no joke, is back in the days before the websites out there. If you wanted to know the lyrics to a song, you bought a book of the lyrics. So I would go there and buy lyric books so I could know the words to the songs that I was listening to.
Do you know who published those lyric magazines?
No.
Charlton.
Did they really?
They sure did.
That's hilarious.
They were primarily known for the Hit Parader and those books that would print lyrics.
Those that's my childhood, is just going through and reading those lyric books.
Yeah. I used to Star Hits. I used to read Star Hits because they would have the new wave bands and the new wave lyrics. Like, they have the lyrics to ABC's That Was Then, but This Is Now in this issue. Um, yeah, deep cut. Next book. I love this book. I forget where I bought it. I think I bought it. I had to have bought it slabbed. I don't think I bought it raw and did this myself. Harbinger Zero, the mail
Oh,
away. This
yeah.
is the mail away variant.
Hmm.
Pink variant.
The pink variant.
Yes. And I had the version that came with the trade paperback for years. And I had a raw Zero back in the day because you guys have heard me tell this story. I had multiples and multiples of Harbinger 1 through 6, and I actually clipped a few coupons out and redeemed them for zeros, but shed them over the years. And to have a 9.8 of this, I think is actually pretty impressive because I remember when mine arrived in the mail, they were in a flimsy cardboard mailer. And to have a 9.8 survive our USPS, God bless them, is something to behold. So I have my Harbinger Zero.
You know what that's going for nowadays?
I don't know. Oh, I know where I bought it. I just got this at Long Beach Comic Con
Oh,
a couple months ago from Ed Robertson.
okay.
Yeah, I think I got a great deal on it. I think I got it for less than 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting for such a, I mean, that's a book you had to go through an effort to get. You had to get other books, do the mail in, and like you said, survive the U.S. postal system, and then still get a 9.8 of it. So that is pretty rare book.
You had to get 6 low print run books, especially Harbinger's number 3 and 4 had very low print runs, and then clip coupons out and send them in and hope it survived, your aggressive mail carrier jamming it into your mailbox and keep it for 30 plus years, then slab it.
Here we are yelling at people cutting out Marvel value stamps out of their Hulk 181s. You cut it out of 6 books, not just one.
The worst. What's your next one?
Oh, my next one. Let me go in. I'm going to go in reverse order. I've got a stack of books here. This is something that you can still do. I went to a show a while ago, and they had X-Men books.
Wow.
X-Men books for what I consider dirt cheap. And then these are books around the Phoenix Saga, and this, here you've got you've got the Cosmic Saga that went on after. But we've got a number of different books. And I paid. Oh, here's a Red Sonja in here as well.
Did you actually pay those amounts?
I paid less than that. I paid less than that for all these books because I got a package deal. So probably 80% of what you see is what I actually paid. And we got beautiful. They're all really in really solid shape, really good condition. Just some really sweet spot books. One of my favorite, 166.
Mm-hmm.
Just some really nice X-Men books, and I think we're the window on when these books are available for a reasonable amount of money is rapidly shrinking because Kevin Feige is talking about redoing the entire MCU in terms of doing a soft reboot. X-Men are coming. That's not even a question. We were already having Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie. So pick up those books while you can, because there's going to be a sharp increase, I think, in especially those Claremont X-Men books.
I agree. What do you think about the Marvels?
I have not seen it. I have not seen the movie.
I haven't. I don't think it's opened yet. But the
trailer,
the
concept of it, the trailer. I think I have no problem with the concept of it. I really think that the writers aren't. It just looked too generic to me, I guess is what I'm thinking. I would have loved to see some strong controversy or some threat that was insurmountable. Who knows? Maybe it's in the movie. It wasn't in the trailer. It was more of the switchy kind of stuff that was cute and funny, but most people want to see something that a little bit more substantive. So
I can describe it in one hyphenated word. My reaction: nonplussed.
Yeah. You want to get excited. You want to get excited about something. You don't want to go, that looks good. That looks okay.
It didn't move me. We talked about Strange Annuals Strange Annuals. Strange Annuals. Yes, we did talk about Strange Annuals. Patsy and Hetty. It is pronounced Hetty. Richard, by the way, thank you, Julius Maloney, for correcting me in the comments. And Richard, you were absolutely right. It is Hetty Lamar. For some reason, for years, I've been thinking it's Heidi Lamar.
No, it's Headley. Did you remember the Mel Brooks, the whole
I'm old.
Saddles thing?
Yeah, you're right. You talked about Strange Annuals again. Strange Tales Annual number 2 last week. Well, here is Strange Tales Annual number 1.
Oh, okay.
This, along with the Queen Size Millie the Model Annual number 1 in 1962, were the first Marvel annuals. And this is really cool. It's triple the value.
Mm-hmm.
You can see for the big Strange Tales Annual for 25 cents, lots of reprints of those Strange Tales stories, lots of Kirby, Ditko, and Heck inside here. Yes, Don Heck, you guys love him. Here it is. But decent copy. I got this years ago, I think for $25, when it was a $25 book. Now I don't even want to think about how much this is. It's probably a 5.0, 6.0. I'm not getting it slabbed though, because I like flipping through it. So let me flip you off to your next book.
My next book is Shogun Warriors number 1.
Aw,
yeah. This is one of those books that you see all the time. I don't equate rarity with this book at all, but I do equate my childhood with it. It's definitely a period piece. And you talk about reading the books. I'm going to crack this open and read it because I probably haven't read this book in decades.
how long did you stay with it when you were a kid?
Maybe issue 5, 6, something like that. What about you?
I think I hung around a little longer. I think I got to issue when was it Dr. Dominicus, or he had the giant monster that had 5 different heads or something that spun around, and that was you're watching Godzilla Megalon movies on channel 43 on Saturday afternoon on Superhost. This was like the nice little addendum to it.
Right, exactly. It's perfect for the period, and it kind of encapsulates that whole giant robots feel. I loved it. It was one of those books that when I see, I will pick up. This one is in gorgeous shape. It's probably a 9.6. Needs a press. The corners are a little bit blunted, but other than that, it's tick free on the spine. It's just a nice looking book, and I can't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't very much, but that also means I feel unrestricted in wanting to just crack it open and read it.
Yeah, there was a moment when it was Shogun Warriors, ROM, and Micronauts all coming out, and I was eating them up. Thank you, please. It would not be show and tell without the Doll Man Bondage cover of the week. Doll Man number 27, late in the run. There he is. Not only is he tied up, they're going to throw him on a rocket and blast him off into space. So if you're into rocket fetish, is that a thing?
I knows.
There he is, just tied up on the cover. Quite unusual for a Doll Man to be tied up.
Did they ever talk about how he gets tied up? I mean, do people knock him out and tie him up, or
he never gets tied up in the book? That's the thing. He never gets tied up in the stories.
Well, somehow he has some weakness that people are exploiting.
I don't know what it is, but this is a beautiful copy. I haven't cleaned or pressed it yet. You can see I think I paid less than that $45 for it, but very happy with this.
Do you have a full set?
No. That's why, the Doll Man Bondage cover of the week may be an ongoing thing for the next 5 years.
Oh, that hard to get?
They're not hard to get at all. I'll take that back. The one, I think it's issue 93 where he's tied up with the gun.
Oh, yeah.
That one's impossible. I looked for that one for 3 or 4 years till I finally snagged one. So there are other pervs out there besides me.
My next book is, okay, this is a guilty pleasure because it's Remo Williams. I don't remember if you remember Remo Williams, The Destroyer.
Yeah.
Now, Yeah, this is number one. Remo Williams is a disciple of a master of the kung fu art or the martial art called Sinanju, and it is the ultimate martial art. Can to basically defeat anyone else, and it's given. He's Remo Williams is trained by Xian, who is his master, and he is the most misogynistic. it it is crazy how horrible this has aged over the years. Not the comic books. That's the thing is the comic book is a offshoot from the books. They have a series of books that, oh boy, there's over 100 of the books. They're kind of like romance novels for men in
Yeah,
that
it's when men
they,
read books.
yeah, back in the day, they were cranking these things out. There was not a whole lot of thought put into them. There was no real agenda other than action. And I used to eat them up. I would go to we had a used bookstore here in the area, which unfortunately no longer is there. And we used to be able,
Bookseller.
yes, the bookseller, yeah, yeah.
Bookseller. And the
You,
Illyria Bazaar.
they used to sell romance novels not by the number of books, by the weight. So you would
Yes.
get a bushel basket of romance novels, put it on the scale, and based on what the weight was, that's what you would pay. My mom used to eat those.
Oh,
But
yeah.
no, I would buy these, the books were 25 cents, 50 cents a piece, and I'd buy them 10 at a time, and I would read one a night. I mean, they were really lightweight books. So The Destroyer was based off of the comic. They also did a movie. Remo Williams was a
The
movie.
adventure begins.
Yes, and it ended quite soon after that
They were
because
very optimistic with that title, weren't they? Where this is going to be a new series.
yeah, it didn't carry over very well into the movies. I enjoyed it back in the day. The stories were very misogynistic and very um, what you would think of an action book from the 70s,
Yeah.
you know. But they were fun reads, and I still think about them every now and then, and going out and grabbing some and just reading them. But yeah, I don't think they made the carryover to digital, so I'm going to have to find a paper copy of them.
Pick up that book again and show it. First of all, that's a Walt Simonson cover, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's definitely a Walt Simonson cover. And there was a Marvel magazine of the Destroyer, and I wonder if that reprints the magazine stories in comic book form.
Ah, I see.
I think the magazine came first and ran for 9 or so issues and then it got canceled. And then I think that comic book was just a repackaging. Could be wrong. But yeah, definitely Walt Simonson cover out there.
And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. A couple things I could press out, but it's either a 9.6 or 9.8. But
Where'd you get it?
I bought it at a local show. There was a show in Akron that we went to, and I picked it up amongst other things, including the Shogun. It was like $2. So it
I
was it
see.
was a no nonsense. It was no brainer kind of buy. So
Awesome. Well, we only had one bondage cover this week. I think we're, missing something here because that's what you all come for, because you guys are all a bunch of freaks just like us. And sometimes you even let us know in a segment we call Viewer Mail.
You've got mail.
My first piece of viewer mail comes to our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from Alan Carr, our good friend Alan Carr.
Mhm.
And this is in reference to our chat last week about Marvel and Paramount Pictures' attempt at a line of Star Trek comics in the mid-90s. Alan says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Great show as always. Vale, Keith Giffen indeed. But no successful Star Trek comic series. I don't know if what we're referring to the Marvel ones.
Yeah.
The Marvel one, and the DC one was fairly successful. It ran for a few years. You youngins must not remember a very successful attempt by the revered Gold Key Comics. Number one in one of those slabby things is about at the $9,000 mark. Much more talk about Gold Key and Charlton is required, but keep up the good work. Cheers, Al, the Gold Key for Color Kid Down Under." Again, another Australian listener / viewer. Please work on our flights. We will fly premium economy. We're not picky. As long as it's British Air, I will not fly premium economy on a domestic airline. No, you're looking for a Star Trek Gold Key number one, right?
Yeah, I am. I am. Now, yeah, we were talking about the '90s Star Trek books. The Gold Key series is awesome. It's it reprints the original series, and I've got a number of that original run. I don't have a number one. I have a number two. I don't have a number three. So yeah, if I come across a high grade number one, I would love it.
Beautiful photo covers, just like Dark Shadows, just gorgeous photo covers, and then you get inside and it's like, did they ever watch the TV show? Um, everyone's out of character and they don't look like they are supposed to look. The worst Star Trek series had to be Marvel's attempt in the late 70s when they only got the rights to adapt the characters and situations in the first movie. So they couldn't talk about the past or any other characters. They were restricted to the first movie. I think they loosened it up a little bit more, let them use Klingons and some other characters. But man,
God, that's
awful,
limited.
awful. What's your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece of viewer mail comes from Glenn Simpson 3687 from our YouTube channel. I'm not really a slab guy, but I would think CBCS could afford to have two label designs. One would be the doesn't look bad when it's set next to your CGC slabs like they have now, and another with a totally different design with the idea of standing out. Maybe one that does focus more on the content, so the notes around why a key is a key would be more prominent, with grade smaller or something like that. That is an excellent idea. Sounds like you should be working for CBCS, because whoever is in charge of their marketing really doesn't seem to be taking advantage of the situation. Yeah, I think that's the best of both worlds. You continue to have the blue labels with the grade in the corner, and you can still ape the CGC covers or cases and the labels, but then have an alternate. People could pay or choose to have an alternate label that is more tied to the actual content of the book. And these labels are printed off of a printer that could very easily print something different than a blue label or a yellow label, something more detailed, more involved. And I think that would be great. I think people would be willing to pay a surplus to have a label that is more informative or more indicative of the content, or would tie into other books in the series if they're going to collect the entire series. Maybe it's some graphic that spans all the different issues. There's all kinds of possibilities that I think CBCS could take advantage of to differentiate themselves and make themselves a higher value on the market than bog standard CGC blue, yellow, purple labels. Something that would allow them to step out of the shadow of CGC and become something of substance and of value on its own.
Let's do our own. We'll be a BAMG. Send your books to BAMG.
Yep, we promise to put gloves on when we grade your books.
Finger bends not included. Yeah, lots of CBCS and CGC talk in the mail last week. We're going to have a few things here. My next piece of viewer mail comes to us from YouTube viewer Michael Preeley. I think that's how you pronounce it, Michael. Sorry. Is CGC consistent with the label color for books with signatures on the cover? I own examples where signed books have green labels and signed books with a blue label. The blue labels have a notation like, quote, Murphy Anderson written on cover with pen, unquote. Michael, that is up to you when you submit the book. If you submit the book for an unverified signature to CGC, they will do two things. They will either grade it green qualified, which means they will grade the book as if the signature was not a defect. So if it's a beautiful copy and it's like a 9.4, but it's got a signature written in pen, the green says, okay, we ignored the signature and we graded it a 9.4. If you want a universal blue label, they have to take the signature into account as a defect. So your book might actually come back an 8.0 or a 7.5 with that note on the blue cover. That's the difference. Now, when you submit, you can call them up and say, hey, I want this to be green, or hey, I want to take the grade hit. Please put it in a blue label. You can let them know. That is the difference there, Michael.
Yeah, and frankly, I take the grade hit. I really think green, purple, gray, which are the three labels, indicate that there's some kind of issue,
Yeah.
make the book worth substantially less than the grade bump you would take by keeping the blue label.
Right. All right. Well, then again, you have a personal book in your collection, Richard.
Mhm.
Like, if I had like a New Gods #1 that was a 9.6 and it had Jack Kirby written in pen on the first page, I might take the green label because I'm not selling it. I don't know.
Well, here's something else. If you have your favorite artist, you're taking a book, you know you're going to get it slabbed, and you want a blue label, you can also tell the person to sign it on inside
Yeah.
the book on the first page, because what will happen is you'll get an indication on the label saying, um, Jack Kirby written in pen
Mhm.
on the first page, something along those lines. So you'll be noted that that's happened. I have my Miracle Man #1 was signed by Alan Moore on the
Mm.
first page, signed and numbered, and it actually says it was signed and numbered in pen by somebody who says they're Alan Moore. So that's another alternate. Now, obviously, if you do that, you won't ever see the signature again because it'll be in the slab, but it will be noted on the cover.
What's your next piece of viewer mail?
My next viewer mail is from Thunder God. Wait, it's your turn, Richard. You have a great cover like X-Men 134, and you didn't realize it was an homage to X-Men 100? Really? I love you guys, but Sherlock Holmes and Watson, you guys are not. Well, still love the show though. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's one of those things. If you ever saw the covers, what it is, X-Men 100 has two different teams facing off: the old X-Men and the new X-Men. And Professor Xavier is standing in the background with his arms raised up over his head, and that's the cover. The X-Men 134 we're talking about has X-Men on one side. It's got the
Hellfire Club.
Hellfire Club, thank you, on the other side, and you've got Dark Phoenix standing there in the background. So the covers are pretty analogous, and it didn't dawn on me, no matter how many times I've seen those covers, that they were so similar until we were looking at it this past week. So yeah, I'm sorry, it was it's a blind spot I have. But now that I notice it, I'm going to try to see. I wonder if there's any other books.
Oh, there's a bunch of X-Men 100 homages out there, but Thunder God is also the one that pointed out that I didn't notice Red Sonja on the cover of Savage Sword of Conan #1. Thunder God, if you'd like to edit this show for free, I could use some extra time. You have a good eye for detail. You've already passed the first 2 tests. We've tested you. That was all a test. We, of course, knew both of those things. My next piece of your mail is from Vinny P. It would be wise for slabbing companies to offer premium cases, different materials and customizable features. For example, stainless steel case, tempered UV resistant glass window. They put a $10,000 book in the same slab as a $100 book. Vinny, you're kind of a mad genius.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow, what do you think? Would you pay for a premium?
Oh, absolutely. If you had a shatterproof sealed case that was filled with argon gas for an inert gas to keep I'm serious. And if you
It's
had
the only podcast where we will have many references to argon gas, everybody.
just if you've got an Amazing Fantasy 15, he's got a good point. You're gonna put that book in a $100, the same slab, same kind of case you put a $100 book in. I would go, if I've got a $30,000 book, I don't see the problem in spending $500 to get that book in a protected in a way that will keep that value long term, almost guaranteed. And I think you can do something premium to just the plastic cases that are not waterproof or airproof or shatterproof. I've dropped many a case and shattered the corner of the case. Um, something,
So,
something that's more substantial. I would pay a premium for that easily. Now for the right book, I'm not going to put Shogun #1 in it, but my AF-15 or my golden age book that's worth $20,000, $30,000. Oh yeah, that would definitely be something, and it would be a selling point, I think, to help you redeem the cost of it.
Bring back the fortress.
Yeah.
Richard, what is your last piece of viewer mail?
My last piece is from MeWild 1032. I thought Richard grabbed the Dirty Bird prize for this episode up until I saw the Doll Man book that John whipped out. No pun intended. Thus, John retains the Dirty Bird crown. Sorry, Richard. Try harder next time.
We report, you decide.
Yeah. These are our collections. These are our influenced by our tastes. So we're just sharing them with you, and yeah. I guess we are both a bunch of dirty birds.
All trussed up there, ready to go sailing into space. Hey, sometimes you get older. I don't know. It's the old fart rule. I'm wasted this week. I'm so wiped out. But I'm not too wiped out to talk about Bugs Bunny number 245, the final issue of the original Bugs Bunny run.
Oh, wow.
Started in the early 1950s, Richard. 1983 saw the end of Bugs Bunny from Whitman Comics. It ran since the early 50s. The first 27 issues, I believe, were actually 4-color comics, one-shots. So they just picked up the numbering from there. At this point, Whitman was on its last legs. They were being published erratically. They were still on the newsstand at this point, but they were mostly sold in 3-packs in places like Toys R Us, Kmart. And they only printed new issues when the warehouse stock ran low.
Oh,
so
wow.
they would print like, issue 244, they'd print a few thousand of that. And then when the Kmarts and everything sold through and the stock was low, oh, we need a new issue of Bugs Bunny, fire up the press. Crazy, right?
Did they have that much content just sitting there? And
they did at that point. I mean, a lot of it was reprint. They were still commissioning new stories. But there was one point in 1980, 3 years before that, where they were sold exclusively through 3-packs. You couldn't find them on the newsstand.
Wow.
You couldn't find them in direct sales outlets. That's why there was a few issues, Black Hole number 4, Uncle Scrooge 179, that are super rare because they were available only in pre-packs. At this point, they were back in the direct market newsstands. But, it wasn't enough. Issue 245 was it. There hasn't been a sale for a 9.8 since 2013, when one sold for a whopping $39. However, a 9.6 sold this March for $67.
Wow.
Insanely low, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the print run for these was at this point. I can't imagine a lot of high-grade copies are out there, though. Kids bought these. Parents bought these for kids.
Right. And the paper quality wasn't exactly exemplary, too. So,
you had some Whitman crazies out there, but they mostly were Disney people. So I'm not sure the Looney Tunes titles get the love that the Disney ones do. I'm the exact opposite. I love me some Looney Tunes. I have no time for Disney unless it's Bombi Zombie.
Bombi Zombie. Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that another time.
Well, we've talked about Bombi Zombie before. But let's move on to our underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you got?
My book is a cool one. It's Deadpool Black and White and Blood number 3. It's a Stan Sakai cover. It's an incentive cover from 2021. Yeah, it's a gorgeous book. I apologize for not including a picture for you to see.
That's all right.
But it's
here. It's floating right here.
Oh. Yes. It's done in the style of a Japanese wood carving. It's just beautiful. Stan Sakai is really pulling out the stops, and you've got this dragon, and against him is Deadpool in a very stylized way. It's just a beautiful cover. And then it's a 1 in 25 from a random issue of a random Deadpool series. So it's going to be kind of hard to find
during the pandemic.
Yeah. So I can't believe there's a lot of these sold. 1 in 25 means you had to have 25 copies of the original cover A sold to get one copy of this book. And I just have a hard time thinking that a lot of people have done that. And it's then the census shows that is true. There's only 30 books on the census right now. About 18 of them are 9/8. 9/8 go for about 125, but you can get raws for about 40. And that's still over ratio. A ratio book would be, $25. I think this is undiscovered, and I think it's because it's still so recent. But once Deadpool the movie comes out, and I think the hoopla around Deadpool raises, this may be one of those books that people who are completionists want to find. Also, if you're looking for a book for Stan Sakai to sign, there's the no brainer Usagi Yojimbo books, of course, but I'm sure he signed a gazillion of those. I take one of these because I'm pretty sure he hasn't seen a whole lot of these come by. I only saw 2 9/8s that were signature series, so it's a book that you might be able to spark a conversation with him about, which is always cool. So,
Artists love the deep cuts.
yes, they do, and this is a great looking cover, and this is only for the cover, but I think it's a good find if you come across it.
Do you have one?
I do.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Smell you, Mr. Sakai fan. You bought a Deadpool book. I'm shocked.
I bought it off eBay. It was probably like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So yeah.
This next book could have been in the old fart rule, but I saved it for underrated book of the week. And I'm sure you remember this book. It is Mage, #1.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of a 15-issue miniseries by Grendel creator Matt Wagner. Just a real fun book that just launched Matt Wagner's career, really, even more so than Grendel, I think. People back then loved Mage, right? More than Grendel.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Mage is more approachable, right?
Yeah, it was more mainstream and easier to follow sometimes than Grendel. Mage is a great book. It's supposed to be a trilogy. It has been revived for a couple of continuation miniseries for Image Comics. And the last one ended just in 2019. I had no idea there was another Mage series that just ended in 2019. Did you?
I did not. I knew of the trilogy, and I was really absorbed with the first one. The other two, I don't really remember.
Well, you waited 20 years before you got to the second one,
Right.
I think. So you're going to lose some people. Movie rumors have swirled around this property for decades. And while I've seen some stuff online, it just seems to be eternally trapped in development hell. So I don't know if we're ever going to see it. Also published by the eternal debate here on this show, Comico.
Comico. I'm now leaning. I used to say Comico, but I'm leaning towards Comico because it sounds like Coleco, which I can appreciate. Yeah, for those who haven't read the book, it's kind of the retelling of the Arthurian legend. Matt, the antagonist is King Arthur, and the whole theme is based on that legend, and it's really cool. It's told from a modern angle, and it's told with a lot of implied history, and it's just a great series. And if you like the Arthurian legend, and you like that whole thing about the hero discovered, which is what the subtitle of the first series is, it's a great read.
Excalibur is a baseball bat.
Yeah, a glowing green baseball bat at that. Yeah,
it cracks over the skull of various demons and entities. 90-day GPA average for a 9.8 is $212.
Which I think is a steal.
Significantly down from where it was during the great comic boom of 2022 or 2021. This one's okay. I haven't pressed it yet. It's not going to be more than a 9.0. There are some serious ticks happening there. But Mage, definitely still an underrated book, movie or no.
Yep, and you can buy the whole series. I bought a whole series for like $20. You can come across them pretty easy, and it is definitely a reading series. I would buy the books cheap and read them.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Richard, remind everyone where you and Forrest will be next weekend.
Next weekend on the 28th, we're going to be at Lorraine County Comic Book Show from 9:30 to 5 o'clock. 9:30 if you got a food donation, 10 o'clock otherwise. It's in downtown Amherst, Ohio. You won't be able to miss it because you'll see the signs. We're going to be there with our own booth with a number of short and long boxes, just slinging comics and having fun. So come out and join us.
Follow the horse and buggy carriages of the Amish as they go to Amherst, Ohio, to go see Richard and Forrest. And we will catch you next time.
Everybody, stay safe.